All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I think this is going to be YouTube worthy, fluff tube worthy. I went over the rules and regulations with Bo before. Gotta watch what we say here, Bo. It's the patheticness of this platform that we're on, but it is what it is. We're on the enemy's platform. We got to behave. But lots to talk about here. We're going to call this the World Economic Collapse. Starts October 24th. Does it start October 24th? I know we're getting close, Bo. I know we're getting close. I've been preparing. I've got food, water, as much as I can. I'm going to go back to the store and get some more stuff. I'm hoping it doesn't last long, or does it last years? I don't know what it's going to do, but we'll get into that. But before I start, health with Nino, folks. Health with Nino. Visible signs of aging only getting worse as we age because of decrease in our naturally produced collagen levels. Every decade, our skin suffers from a 10% decrease in its available collagen supply, as well as decrease in its quality. That means you'll have lost 30% of your collagen your body used to be at naturally. Well, you used to naturally produce by the time you're 45. That's the age I'm at now, which is why you have to start supplying collagen if you want to keep your youthful glow. So that's why I take it. In the next minute, I'm going to tell you how anyone can reduce visible signs of aging quickly and easily. After years of searching, the closest thing I found to a modern-day fountain of youth is called collagen. Collagen rejuvenates and renews your skin from the inside out with 5 supercharged types of collagen your body needs for youthful-looking skin. By boosting your collagen levels with multi-collagen, you'll help restore your skin's elasticity and thickness while reducing the appearance of wrinkles. Try it today, risk-free for 60 days and for up to 51% off by clicking on the link below, folks, in the description box. Hit the link below, or you can visit www.Health with Nino. After placing your order, they will deliver straight to your doorstep along with a few added bonuses. Hit the link below, folks. Get started on collagen. It works. When I got cut, when they slit my throat, I took collagen. I think I healed pretty nicely. I'm still getting the gray hairs, though, so I don't know what's going on with that. Hit the link below, folks. Hit the link below. Bo Polny, I love having you on, man. You're a fan favorite. I have about 5 guests that come on that people just absolutely love, and they love you. And I like you, especially because I can put you on YouTube most of the time. So, cool. How's things going?
I want to thank you for having me here again. It's just, it's so important. I want to push out one message, and that's the message of hope, right? As ugly and as scary and as horrific as the things are, you are one of the most incredible people on YouTube that does a fantastic job of exposing things. You talk, I've listened to your show, a little earlier this morning, and man, you put the bullet points together. You have this incredible mind of putting all the bullet points together and just go ba-boom, ba-boom. You just go through everything. And, at the end of the day, when you listen to all the bullet points, it's pretty horrific. Like, it's pretty crazy what the agenda is, right? But you have to look at this, and I hope a lot of your viewers have come to realize we're at a point of, it's no longer like the left versus right. This is a battle of good versus evil. It states in Ephesians, right? We battle not against flesh and blood, but principalities of darkness. A principality, by definition, is a government.
Right. It's an archon. It's a part of the Satan's control. I mean, really.
Right. And the essence of like our whole talk today is, how they did it. And we're going to cover a ton of bullet points as well. But to bring the message of hope, because like you said earlier in the pre-show, we talked about, it's so important to push out a message of hope and also preparation. Like, what did you say? It's so important to go out, make sure you have extra stores of water, make sure you have extra stores of food. Okay. Because something's about to go down. And it's supposed to start this month, okay? So and potentially right around the 24th, that Monday, we could have a Black Monday, the 24th, and then that's going to trigger, whether it's that day, whether the weekend, it doesn't matter, but it's right around this time point it's because no one knows exactly the day this is going to go down, because I've said on your show, when God intervenes, it's a secret. I mean, the day is a secret, but we know we're here. Okay, we feel it in our bones. You feel it in your bones. Okay, and so the day and the hour are a secret, and that's biblical. Okay, I'm not making it up. And the other thing is, just like this is really cool to think about. Okay, so when you understand the story of Egypt, Pharaoh, and Israel, right? if God revealed through his prophets of what he was and how he was going to destroy Pharaoh, then it would never have happened. You see, so God speaks through his prophets. I'm not a prophet, but there's a handful of good, very awesome prophets out there that are speaking right now. But we all communicate with God. We all get pieces. And I put a lot of the pieces together, including those pieces of the prophets. And so that's why, you know, people enjoy listening to me, because I put a lot together and I put it into a PDF presentation. But the point is, if Pharaoh knew that if he entered that Red Sea and the water would crush on his head and destroy his army, he wouldn't have went.
Right.
See, so yeah, so
it's like boxing. You can't telegraph your punches. You gotta, you know, I mean, you can't lead with your chin before you throw the right or cock back the right. Everything comes bam, bam. You know, same thing in boxing. You cannot telegraph a punch. It makes sense to me.
And if in boxing you knew that your opponent had a weakness, right? You would hold back you would train for it, right? But you wouldn't pull your final kill punch or your punch to take down the opponent until you worked him out, until you got him tired out, right?
You got to dress him up to take him out.
Right. So this is what God, so this is like, you can compare that to God's moves. So he's playing chess, and they might come in with a kill shot here. We might see, like, remember, there's, I believe, from what I hear, I was talking to Clay last week, that there's a Russian nuclear sub missing. Okay. Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? But that there's that movie Hunt for Red October, right? How crazy is that? But it was a Russian sub that went missing in the movie. So, you know, so are they telling us something? And I don't know, and it doesn't matter, but expect crazy, okay? Because evil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so all the things that you discuss are really horrendous things that they're planning, the bullet points you went through that I listened to today, because that's what they're trying to do, right? But God, you know, Christ comes to give life more abundantly, right? And so they're two polar opposites. And so we're about to see, you know, the clash of the titans come together. So whatever their plan is, that's what I'm saying, prepare with food and water, because we don't know what's going to happen. So like Pharaoh didn't know that if he entered the Red Sea, that the water would crush him and his army. You see what I'm saying? So we don't know what God's about to do. We don't know the checkmate move that God's about to take down these people with, okay? So we know that, so I know in my heart that something big's about to happen. The wars, you know, the things that you're talking about, people, you go read Matthew 24, verse 6. There will be wars and rumors of wars, but fear not, you know, but don't be deceived, okay? This is all about, we are not in that, you know, where people talk about nuclear, where you read, you know, the word Armageddon, right? Okay, that's not now, okay? You have to understand biblical scriptures. We're not there. So ignore, and when you hear that word Armageddon, okay, ignore it, because it's not the time, because everything happens in its time and in its seasons, and this is not the time. What we're about to witness is a really historic thing go down, and this is the glory, not Jesus Christ. He's not coming right now. We're going to witness the glory of God. And what that means is the glory will manifest just like what happened at the Red Sea. Christ didn't show up. It was the glory of God manifested. God had a plan and a secret. Israel crossed. They didn't know they're going to cross, but they ended up crossing. But the secret was to get Pharaoh to chase him in. And so we're about to see historic things unfold. So whatever their pieces are to destroy, right? We're heading into Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is harvest. Okay. And so what's very clear
also we're coming into Halloween. That's a very important date for the cult, right?
Well, yeah. And that's an important,
that's like the adrenalizing. That's where they want to adrenalize society or the American public or the global or humanity. The adrenalizing process that starts, right? Am I right in saying that?
No, I think that's correct. You know, because remember, they worship. You know, they live in darkness, right? So they do things in darkness, right? And so Halloween is about darkness, right? And so yes, there's nothing good about Halloween. Okay, it's a satanic day. It's not like, you know, what the you know, what it goes, there's another thing for it, a day of the dead or something like that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
this is satanic, people. Okay, they twist everything to say, oh, it's just fun to decorate and dress up. No, it's changed into something horrific, you know. So yes, it's not a good day at all.
And
that's when the
a
witches
note on
call
that,
over.
and a note on that for the people watching. I wouldn't, you know, if you take your kids trick or treating this season, folks, don't let them eat the candy, because there's a lot of fentanyl being placed into these candy bags. That's really happening. And a lot of the Border Patrol are telling me the same thing, man. They're replacing, they're going into stores, putting it in the candy. It's getting bad. So just a side note on that one. Go ahead, Bo.
Yeah, you know, I don't, again, my kids are already grown up a little bit, but if I had young kids, you know, I just maybe, if they really want to dress up, put them in some fun, happy costume or something like that, and then hit a couple neighbors' houses that, you know, and that's the end of that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is a devil day, and it's all about witches and conjurings and all kinds of crazy, sick, satanic shit, so you definitely want to stay away from that.
Oh, did you just cuss on my show?
I did. I did.
All right.
Satanic SHI. Yeah, I did. You caught me. But
All
yeah,
right.
you got to say it sometimes. You got to say it sometimes. And what better place than on Nino's Corner? So you got me.
Welcome here, buddy.
But it is, because, you know, it's on my heart. This is Satanic SH. You know, it is. It really is. And these people are sick. Right, and this takes us to let's go biblical on it, right? Genesis 6 verse 12. And God saw the earth, and it was corrupt.
I see it too.
Right, there it is, right? And so this was the reason for the great flood. Okay, so God flooded the earth, and he promised you'll never do it again. Okay, but the point was, before he flooded the earth, when he built the earth, he filled it with water because he knew he was going to flood the earth. See, he prepared before he did it. So God's got a bigger plan. As ugly as things work, God's got a bigger plan, and we might not see how God's going to, you know, put the nail in the coffin of this one. Okay, but God's got it worked out. I want to repeat that. God's got it worked out, and he's going to get the glory. Just like when the 300 of Gideon went to battle against 100,000, what do? They fought against one another. They killed one another, right? Well, when the truth comes out, guess what they're going to do to one another?
Fight amongst each other.
Yes.
Kill each other.
Exactly. They're going to do that against one another. So that's what's about.
So you think, like, basically when they say the deep state, they'll start rolling on each other. They expect like a suicide week. I don't think a weekend. I think suicide week or weeks. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, first up, when God intervenes, it's going to be in a 24-hour window. So I put a slide up here right now so we can look at this. But when God intervenes, biblically, like, you know, the Red Sea, in 24 hours, it was over. Yeah, the story of Daniel, he went from pits, you know, Joseph went from the pit to the palace in 24 hours. So when God intervenes, it's a 24-hour window, meaning it's very quick, okay? But then the reverberations afterwards, right, are like historic, right? So it's the reverberations after God intervenes. And so I want to read to you Judges 7 verse 22. So let's go biblical on this, because if I'm going to state anything, it has to be scriptural for it to be real, for it to be the truth, right? So Judges 7 verse 22, it says, and when they blew the trumpets, the Lord set the sword of one against another throughout the entire army. And so I want you to know, the army of Gideon, David, it's assembled. I was there. I want to explain what happened. On September 20, I've been on your show before several times, and I've talked about the importance of September 24, 25, because it's Rosh Hashanah, Elul 29. It's the end of the year, right? And the beginning of what? A new. And so what happened was, on the 24th, there's a couple things happened on the 24th, 25th, and we'll discuss that. But on the 25th, 24th, my friend 𝗨𝗏𝗆 was asked by God, she's a prophet, to put together this conference in Texas. So we went to Texas, and the 600-700 people signed up. At the end of the day, by Saturday, when we did the final head count, guess how many showed up? Precisely 300.
Oh, wow.
On the mark.
On the mark?
On the mark.
Interesting.
It's fascinating. So what just happened was the army of Gideon was assembled, and then, believe it or not, 30 of those people brought it was called shofars, trumpets. So we go on stage and we blow the trumpet Saturday evening, the 25th. Believe it or not, what happened that weekend was right here. The British pound plummeted against the US dollar. on that specific weekend right here. And since then, we've seen they had to shut down a day or two later. They had to shut down the bond trading in London because if it didn't, all the Social Security would have collapsed. They had to literally intervene on the markets and shut everything down. So when they lose control, they shut things down. So they try to gain control. So the world financial system is about to break here. The finances, remember, how do they build everything, right? They built it with the money. The money has been the root of all evil all the time. So people, Satan, evil's lied to you. There's nothing wrong with money, okay? Because how do you feed your family? How do you put a roof over your head, right? And so what do? They try to tax you. That they'll right now the stuff with PayPal. They're trying to ding you with more fees, right? The point is they want you broke. Or have a job just over broke, right? Why? Because if you're dependent on the government, right? We've battled not about flesh and blood, but principalities. So if you're dependent on the principalities to take care of you, well, they're evil, but so they get to control you. So that's the essence of how they do it all, through the money. And that's how they built all of this. They built their empires with what? The money. The money was how they did it all, and the essence of when they took us off the gold standard in 71. This is what they did. It's incredible when you like, you can say it over and over again, but when you actually look at it, you're like, holy mackerel, right? So check this chart out right here. Look at what happened. Nixon takes us off the gold standard in 71. This is the money supply. Nino, when we were younger, okay, there was no word as $1 trillion. Okay, but look what happened. They create money, right? The dollar chugs along. All of a sudden, Nixon takes us off the gold standard in 71. And look what happened to the money supply. Okay, so that's fraud. They created out of thin air. It's attached to not gold and silver. It's just based on two words: faith and confidence.
Right, and how much they print and put into circulation, basically.
Right, and then they use the computers now to manipulate the markets to control it, okay? But the people who look at their bank account say, hey, I'm wealthy. I own $1 million. I have $1 million in my account. Or I have a home worth $1 million, or whatever it is. People, your home is only worth $30,000 to $50,000 based on 1971. They created this money out of thin air, so it has the appearance of having a value of $1 million. Your home is still worth $50,000. And when the financial system flips, you're about to find out your home is worth $50,000 or $100,000.
Right, and people can be able to buy this stuff pennies on the dollar, correct?
Exactly. And so that takes us to over here. We've seen some really big things go down since our last interview, right? So since our interview, we saw a couple things happen. We saw the Queen pass away, right? Okay. Correct. Well, this is interesting because when you read Revelation 17, it says, I saw a woman, which is the harlot, sitting on a scarlet beast that was full of blasphemous names. And so with the woman who's the harlot, who's now dead, deceased, she's not here anymore. There's no one riding the beast. Are you with me?
Yes.
So there's no rider anymore. And now the financial system just cracked because, the Queen passed away 2 weeks later, her money cracks, her plummets. So now the rider of the beast is now crippled. There's no rider and the beast is about to fall apart. And when we read
I see you named the heads here: different entertainment, education, yes, media, government, financial, family.
Yes.
Church.
Yes. So, right. Because what do they do in the family, right? They're flipping, they put the wife to work in the 70s. Coincidence? Yeah. No, it was not, right? Because they wanted the wife was the house, was the top of the family, or she held it all together. When the wife goes to work, then now the school and the state can take care of your kids. So that's the destruction of the family for the past 50 years. So we've seen the church take control through the 501c3, the education system. Look what they're bringing into it now, right? Yep. Look at the government. Well, you don't even touch on that one because you can see what's going on.
This makes more sense to me than anything.
Right. So all of this is controlled. And so Lance Wallnau does a very good job of explaining this as well, too. Basically, they're called the 7 hills. So in the Bible, when it says 7 heads, it's hills. It
Okay.
represent the heads represent the hills, just like the horns right here, the 10 horns. Those are the 10 kings of the earth that will rise later. So when people say, "Hey, we're about to witness immense blessings, and we're heading into the 1,000-year millennial reign," I know you've had people talk on your show, but we're heading into the 1,000-year millennial reign. They're 1,000% wrong, because the fall of the harlot, it says the 10 heads. Well, the 10 horns and the 10 kings will hate the harlot, and they will take her down. So we just witnessed the fall of the harlot and the beast that she rides. And now we're going to take us to the next slide here. And this is going to illustrate to you how it's going to happen. When you read Psalm 97, it says the Lord reigns, because he gets the glory for what's about to happen. Let the earth be glad. Let the distant shores rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and consumes his foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. That's what's going on right now. And here it is. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of the earth. And the heavens proclaim his righteousness, and all peoples will see his glory. So the mountains melt like wax is the 7 hills. So these 7 hills are about to melt like wax. When this whole system blows, what's going to happen is, we've talked about 45. Remember, he's not allowed to be here because this is the fall. And I want to talk about, so
this has to happen, and it can't happen on his watch.
Yes, bingo, because he's a builder. Christ was a carpenter. 45 is a builder. He's not allowed to be here for what's about to go down. Let's talk about what's about to go down.
But I thought Biden was going to build back better.
Yeah. So here is what would here. This is why this interview is so important for your viewers to pay attention and then prepare. I'm going to say pay attention and then prepare. Nino, this is the stock chart of 1929, which led to the Great Depression. I was on your show and I said September is going to bring a crash or a collapse. I said the word collapse. We never got the collapse. We got a 12% US market crash, exactly as forecast. It just didn't collapse yet. We had the drop, and now we just had the bounce last week, and now we're at the drop.
Like here we go down the roller coaster. Here it goes.
Oh, in 1929, this is how you know it's God's number. God's number of 124. Okay, I've talked about the 124 cycle, how it represents months. And so this 3-year cycle was able to predict the crashes that happened in December of 2018. It predicted a great crash that happened in March of 2020. 38%, and then they print 8 trillion that weekend to push the markets back up. It predicted a drop here in June of 21, and this chart predicted that markets were going to drop in September. This chart hasn't failed in 3 years, David. And so now we're at this one right here, this one pattern, which is the neutral month. So anything can happen. The problem is that anything, we're looking at 1929, and in a matter of 2 weeks, the US market collapsed 45%. David, that'll take the Dow under 20,000, possibly to 17 or 18,000 in a matter of 2 weeks. And we don't know. That would be target number 1 here, 19,000. It could go to 12,000, even 7,000 or 5,000. I don't care. But I'm telling you, under 20 is an absolute.
So what do you suggest people do? I mean, people hear this and they're freaking out right now. What do? They get food, water for how long? I mean, how long does this last? Then they get what? They get gold and silver on hand. Well, I mean, what pull cash out of the bank?
No, we talked about horrendous. We talked about the bad news. This is going to be horrible, people. This is going to be bad. There's going to end up in food lines. Okay, this is going to be financial problems, because when that's the crash of the stock market. This is why it gets worse, because what happens next is the crash of the dollar. because it says in the Bible, the brothers of Goliath, it's a prophetic word of 𝗀𝗄𝗃, the brothers of Goliath, which is the BRIC nations, stand in glee. We will cripple you, the United States. So we're about to see the BRICS nations, which is Russia, India, China. They're going to come against the US dollar, then the bonds. We're going to see the US bonds break. This is going to be horrendous. And then the world's countries of the world will not accept a dollar for payment. So
do you think this is going to start
in November?
Yes. Because a lot of and a lot of my audience, it's like the nail in the coffin when you start predicting stuff and it doesn't come true.
And nailed it. And our dates have so far nailed. We've talked about what Roe v. Wade was overturned in June 24th. Okay, actually, that's a very fun.
So you believe October 24th is when it starts? It just
yes, and I'm going to show you some really fun. Check this out right here. This is just some fun things to look at, and then we'll talk about the good news in a second. Okay, but look at this chart. Okay, this is by God's design. This doesn't happen randomly. I take you back to the number 24 again. 1, 2, 4. It's 4,000 years of the Jews, 2,000 years of the Gentiles, which were in the last bit of it here. Well, that's why we're in end times right now. That's why we're seeing all this crazy go down. And then we're heading into the 1,000-year millennial reign. But there's 7 seals of Revelation. We're only at 3rd seal. That's what we're about to witness, which is a rebalancing of the financial system. The point being is the Ukraine war. So I'm going to say about it, but it started on February 24th. Russia starts accepting payment for oil in the rubles on March 24th. Roe v. Wade was overturned on June 24th. The pound plummets against the US dollar on September 24th. And I just showed you the 1929 stock cycle. It's indicating that a market collapse is coming in October, and it happened it broke support in 1929 on 10/24. Remove the 0, that's 1, 2, 4. So all of it started on October 24th. Does it happen this year on that day? I don't care. But if you want to move 24, 48 hours, it doesn't matter. That's like the last week of October is going to be horrendous on the stock market. And then, remember, we talked about 45. He's not allowed to return until what? After the collapse. So if you want to go back to the charts here,
be careful on this one though, because I got to keep it.
No, I'm not saying that. So he's not allowed to return until the bottom comes in.
Because he's a builder.
He's the builder. So this is the Biden collapse and then the 45 rebuild. That's all I need to say about this, okay? And how is he going to rebuild it, right? Well, there's a prophecy of 𝗀𝗄𝗃, and he basically stated he will raise a simple stone. Well, guess what that stone is? GOLD, okay? So he's going to rebuild these 7 hills that we talked about right here, starting with the financial systems, how they did it. God's going to destroy the financial system, the US dollar and the bonds, and then 45 comes back and rebuilds the financial system, and then all the hills. So we're going to see the building of a new church. So the stadiums that for when you were boxing, right? Those will be now filled with people worshiping, because why? Because money's been the idol. Everybody, when you went to go fight, you talked about it beautifully. It's whores and was it prostitutes and
pimps and hoes?
Pimps and right. So because it's been about the money, right? It's always been, that's why you got people making crazy amounts of money boxing, because it's about the money. That's why they do it, right? And so when the money system breaks, then people are going to fall to imagine this. Imagine stock market loses 50% or more of its value in a matter of a few weeks. Yeah. Then the US dollar breaks and the bonds break and the financial system, breaks. The banks start to shut down. There's runs on the banks. People, your world just changed.
Yeah, I said that before in my program too. We are just days away. I don't even think weeks. I mean, okay, let's say weeks. I think we're weeks away from the world completely changing. I mean, regardless of what you're saying, October 24th, and then, well, obviously the obvious for me, what I'm looking at is what's coming in November. So I think our world's about to change.
Yeah. So I want to, so with that date you just referenced, the 24th, that we'll see in the last week of October, markets will be crashing into, we can say the word
going into the November.
Right. And then after that point, the market crash is finished. Anytime after
the rebuilding phase will be coming December. I don't know.
Maybe November. We might, and maybe November, we might see, there is a Supreme Court ruling. Please Google this. This is not made up.
Be careful.
It says the word FRAU vitiates everything. Okay, so Google vitiates every Supreme Court ruling, right? And what that basically means is from the day it's discovered, it goes back to the day it started, which would take us back to January number.
Yeah.
Okay,
people know.
Everything starts all over again. So basically, everything that was done gets wiped out. These 2 years it's a redo. Okay. That's what's about to happen. So we're going to see the fall of the harlot. The fall of the harlot is the fall of this Daniel statue that's been prophesied in Revelations for 2,500 years. This is the fall of the Daniel statue right here. So Revelation 18, fallen is Babylon the Great. It falls, and Daniel 2 verse 34 is a stone carved out by, what does it say? No human hand. That means, what happened at the Red Sea was no human hand. Are you with me?
Gotcha.
So this is a biblical intervention. And so everything that, you have these very smart people on your show, that know a lot of intel on the inside. But the problem with everything they've done is it's amounted to nothing. And the prophetic word was Haggai, I think it was 2. It says, but from this day forward, I will bless you. Well, that was marked September 24th. And so we're about to see, because we've returned to God with overturning Roe v. Wade. So now we're about to see God's blessings, that God's with us, because if God is with you, who could be against you? And so now we're about to see the fall of Babylon. We've seen the fall of the harlot. The harlot has no rider anymore. We talked about that. So the rider's gone. We read Revelation 18. It says, in a single day, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. It's right here, Revelation 18, verse 8. And 9, it says, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. This is how this is about to play out. God's got it all lined up, but it can't start until the markets collapse. That is the start. So the market collapse is what's going to start all of this. But I don't want to freak people out, because basically the collapse, this is a prophetic word. It says, a friend of mine, 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏 gave this word. It says, the collapse will be the victory needed to stop the furthering of this regime.
So it needs to happen. But they want it to happen too for the Great Reset.
Yes, but remember who's in charge, right? So they might, it's like Pharaoh, this is, what they do could be compared to Pharaoh coming at Israel, who's pinned up against the Red Sea. So they're about to strike. This is Pharaoh coming at you with the chariots, the swords, and the horses, right? And his 600 to kill you. 600 chariots to kill you, right?
Right.
And then in 24 hours, everything changes. So there's a 24-hour window. We talked about this before. On one of our shows was titled 24 Hours, It Changes Everything. So we're about to witness this any day on or after into the 24th of this month forward into November, into that first week of November where the big, the votes are about to be happening. And then anytime after that, we could literally see, because shortly after that will be the collapse of the US dollar and the bond market. And then we're going to have the return.
Okay.
Of.
Yep. No, we got you. We know what you're laying down.
Yeah, of the big guy, right? So it'll be very shortly here. It'll shock the world. And then we're going to see riots, rioting, chaos. And so people, whatever's about to go down, I'm going to repeat, like Nino repeated at the beginning of this. Make sure you've got extra food. Make sure you've got extra water. Okay. When this is going to be this is going to be the greatest this is not going to be a wealth shift. This will be the greatest. I'm going to repeat, the greatest financial event in human history. God is going to flip the tables on these money changers. He's going to flip the tables, and everything that you believe today to have value will.
But this all needs to happen first. The old system must come down.
Bingo. Yeah. And then the new can be built, because he's a builder.
So the old structure, the old paradigm must fall.
Right. And let's bring some scripture into this, because and scripture will lay in some further timing. And I've been on your show before, and I've referenced Zechariah 1. on the 24th day of the 11th month in the second year of the Darius, which is November 24 of 2022. Guess what? That's Thanksgiving. The word of the Lord came by the prophet Zechariah. I have returned to Jerusalem with mercy, means God's coming back with mercy because we have overturned Roe v. Wade. My cities shall again overflow with, there's a key word there, prosperity. So Haggai 2 verse 8 states, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. When you read Matthew, it says blessings are 30, 60, and 100-fold. This is not a prosperity gospel. I'm not saying people, to go, buy precious metals to become rich. You can do whatever you want, okay? What I'm saying is God's going to intervene, and he's going to flip the tables on the money changers. They've used their money to control us. When God flips the tables, his money is going to allow us to run the world. Basically, it was Deuteronomy 28 says, we will become the lenders to the nations. Deuteronomy's never been fulfilled. Deuteronomy 28 says we are the head, not the tail. We are to be the lenders to the nations. So the financial system, the ones that are preparing are the ones that, that understand what's going on. They're like, everything doesn't sit well with them in their heart. Like something's messed up in the world. Like, why do you have this show, Nino? Because something's wrong. Something's wrong. In your heart, something's wrong. So therefore you do this show. And people who listen, you got a big following. Why? Because they know in their heart something's wrong. Okay. And so God, he specifically has three things you want to do. You want to have faith because God's in charge of this. Okay. We're at third seal. There's 7 seals. There's 4 horsemen. So there's 7 seals and 4 horsemen. The first 4 seals are the 4 horsemen. So we've had the first seal open, that was CORONA, okay? The second seal was peace taken from the earth, and that was when the riots broke out on May 31, 2020, and that was the opening of the second seal, peace taken from the earth, the seal opened up. And 10 days before that, the Edenville Dam broke in the township of Hope, Michigan, marking the opening of the pre-birth, the breaking of the water. And so now we're at third seal, about to witness the opening of the manifestation of the third seal. The third seal is 2 things. To give people a visual on that, it's 2 things. It's the black horse. I showed this earlier. But the third seal is, just so you have a visual, it's a black horse. And the rider has scales in his hands. So this is no different than what happened to Belshazzar when remember the prophet writing on the wall? We've all heard that saying, the writing on the wall. Well, the interpretation Daniel gave to King Belshazzar, because he just defiled the temples they were drinking, the glass chalices they were drinking out of, and a writing came on the wall, and the interpretation was, many, many tekel 𝗵𝗲. You have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Your kingdom has come to an end and will be given to the Medes and the Persians. That night, when the writing occurred on the wall, King Belshazzar died, fulfilling the prophecy, and King Darius came in and was in charge of Babylon, fulfilling the prophecy. And so the balanced scales represents the financial system. I showed you the financial system, the massive red spike. It's out of balance. They've controlled humanity with this money system that's out of balance. And so now God's weighed us in the balances. We're found wanting, and their kingdom has come to an end. And we're about to see the fulfillment of Proverbs 13:22. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, the church, meaning God, those that believe what you and I talk about. And so they prepare. So the 3 preparation tools, faith. Number 1, you got to have faith because God's got this. No man. So that's why all these people that you have on your show, they have incredible intel, incredible knowledge, and incredible amount of work that's happening behind the scenes. But the problem is Satan's been controlling the earth, and there's a secret handshakes across all the world. And so this is a very powerful system. So that's why, and a stone carved out by no human hand must intervene. That's why the glory, God has to intervene to just take down the statue of Babylon. And then all this incredible intel of all the information that's happening behind the scenes, well, that's the light, will now manifest and take down these people. like we talked about, in Judges 7, right? They're going to come against one another because the truth is so horrific of what they've been doing, right? If people are going
to start offing each other.
Yeah, exactly. But the Great Awakening, they're going to try to off. They're going to like, hey, it wasn't me. You told me to do that, and
yeah, exactly.
you did this and you did that. And that's what happened to Gideon. Time of Gideon, it had only 300 people destroyed 100,000+ because they didn't. They destroyed themselves. By the time they showed up, it was over.
And that's what we can expect.
Yes. So the truth will not come out to light until the glory manifests, because God gets the glory. Then the truth can come to light. Then, and the mountains will collapse like we talked about. Mountains will melt. All those 7 mountains start to melt like wax. And then you got the builder come right in, because God will make his way straight when you read Isaiah. So God will make his way, the Mr. to come back this year to rebuild, because he's the builder to rebuild what God destroys. So like on the other side of the Red Sea, Moses was the leader to lead them, on the other side. They need a leader on that other side, but he's not allowed to be there for what we talked about on the great collapse that's coming. This is not a crash that's coming, it's the collapse. And then the economy,
we've never seen anything like this.
Right, because this is the fall of a 2,500 year prophecy. I thought initially it was going to happen September, so it's going to happen October. Okay, so it happens 30 days later.
Well, what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? My audience is going to be on you for that.
Let them be. And all I know is that God the Father has shown me things that I know are about to come to pass. And if it happens on the 25th, so be it. If it happens the end of September, end of October, so be it. All I'm saying is by the end of this year, you're
saying it begins the 24th of October.
Well, no, it already started with the collapse.
Yeah, it has started. You're right, but October 24th is what?
We should be able to see it on the 24th in the physical, something crazy starting to happen. Okay, and then there's going to be and then that last week. So the 24th is a Monday. That takes us into the last week of October, into Halloween, basically.
And
that takes us right into Halloween, which is the 28th. Actually, the Monday after that is the 31st, which is Halloween. So the week of the 24th into the 28th, Friday, expect crazy. Okay, I don't know what that means. I'm just telling you, if the markets are plunging, my question to you would be, David, what happened? Right? You were talking about
there's going to be food rushes. There's going to be all kinds of stuff.
Before even the food rushes, what happened in the world? What happened in the world? Does the sub issue become an issue? Are there other things? What happened?
Well, Russia was just parading their nuclear arsenal in front of the U.S. embassy
but know that this is not Armageddon, people. So I'm going to this is rumors of wars, okay? So fear not. These are rumors of wars, but it's going to look really scary. Just like it looked really scary for Israel, who's pinned up against the Red Sea. They were screwed, okay? Sorry for my French, okay? But a little more swearing again, but they were toast because why? They had nowhere to go. Mountains left and right of them, Pharaoh coming at them, and the sea behind them. They had nowhere to go. So understand, this is going to be really scary what's about to happen. For the U.S. markets and the world, not forget the world markets that collapsed by 45+%. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened in the world? Right? And then the reverberations after that are the food lines, the food shortages, right? And then the dollar breaks after that. And then you're going to need someone to come in and rebuild those 7 hills, right? And that, I believe, starts in November. And on or above, because remember, read Zechariah 1, it references Thanksgiving, November 24th. So I would say somewhere on or about, that 3rd, 4th week of November, expect awesome things that are going to manifest, and supposed to manifest. And then that'll take us to the prophetic word of 𝗵𝗶𝗃. And winter says, or Christmas says, for what it was, I will make you happy.
You think we'll have a good Christmas?
Oh yeah, people, especially those. Well, it'll be a double whammy, right? Because those who prepared financially with precious metals, cryptocurrencies, are going to have an immense, oh my, it'll be blessings, like you can imagine, and also the ones they didn't, because they didn't have the means to repair, and that's okay, people. If you don't have the means to repair, actually, I talked about this as well too, right? The blessings will be such overflow. I'm going to repeat that. The blessings that are coming at Christmas are going to be in such overflow and abundance that you'll be able to bless all those around you. I'm going to repeat, those who love Christ, those who love, are in the word, those who have the faith, okay, but don't have the means, fear not, because it's the good news. So I'm talking about the good news is it's going to get ugly and dark only to come out of the tunnel in the light. And the light is the good news, right? So the blessings will be so enormous that you'll be able to bless all those around you. And it's going to be incredible, the blessings that are brought upon the earth. And then, the spiritual uprising, again, Matthew 30, 60, 100, we're going to have stadiums full of people because idol worship, the worship of the dollar is broken. And so the ones that have been, there's a lot of people out there, they love checking their bank accounts all the time, okay? I could care less. People check their bank accounts all the time. They worry about what their house is worth, right? When they come to realize this was all a game and they lost everything and it's worth pennies on the dollar now, they're going to have because they refuse to listen to us, right? Like you and I are speaking, warning people. You're out, prepare. This is what you say, prepare people, right? But there's many out there that refuse to listen. They refuse to heed the warnings, right? And those that refuse, because they're so wrapped up in the world, they're so wrapped up in what they possess. And when they realize it's worth pennies on the dollars, they are going to have the biggest come to Jesus moment. I don't want to even say come to God, because Jesus, you want to reference the word Jesus because it's always, Satan's a God, technically, he's the lowercase g. So it's the biggest come to Jesus moment because people are going to start waking up to the Bible, to the truth of what's about, what just happened. And they're going to be people who are very wealthy right now in food lines, Nino. Very wealthy people of today, present day.
Going to their neighbors that they know stocked up.
Right. Yeah. And the neighbors who stocked up will feed those around, will give blessings to those around them because it's going to be overflow. And then there will be, how did you know? How did you know to prepare? Because I listened to the servants, the prophets. I listened to the messengers. I listened. And so they're going to know, well, who'd you listen to? And then your channel is going to blow up greater than you've ever thought, right? As good as it is right now. And so that's what's going to happen. These people who are extremely in great positions right now, but just lost because they refuse to listen, their idol is about to be destroyed and they're going to fall to their knees. But like you, the reason you do what you do, Nino, because you were on your knees and God raised you. I was on my knees
many times.
Yes, right. But and that's why we can't be shaken. See, back to the Gideon army, right? You understand the whole thing? There was I think 20,000 and then 10,000 were just scared. So God said, send them home. They left. And then there's 10,000 left. God told Gideon, go have them drink at the lake or have them drink at the water. 9,700 drank like dogs. They put their head down. They weren't watching. So they drank like dogs. And then God said to them, those 97, the ones that drank like dogs, send them home because they will take the glory. 9,700 went home. They were sent home because they would take the glory. The 300 that stood, the 300 in the army, God knew they didn't want the glory. They were doing it for God. They were doing because they were just there because they were already on their knees in the past. They gave themselves. And so you're doing because you are like the example of the 300 that you can't be bought. Because you've been there, right? You've been on your knees and they can't buy you anymore. That's why you go to Hollywood. Everybody's bought and paid for. How? With the money. See, it's always been the root of money, the love of it. The people loved it, they worshiped it. And then this is what you get. You get this system that's built up around the world called Babylon. But Babylon actually started as the United States, believe it or not, okay? It actually states in Jeremiah 51, I'll show this to you. It's actually very interesting. People want to know what is Babylon. It actually started as the United States. It states that Babylon was a golden cup in the Lord's hands. Well, why was it a golden cup? Because Israel was founded under God, but then the United States chose God. So we chose God. We took the Bible across the world. Tell me if I'm wrong. We took military might and protection around the world. We took our financial aid around the world. So we were Babylon, right? But we were a golden cup. But then what happened? She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine, therefore they have gone mad. And now Babylon is no longer the United States in of itself. It's a global empire all built around the world. It's a control system all around the world. And so that's, the importance of understanding, where we are in timelines and Revelation. And also I want to kind of take it to this point and then you can go from here. But there's a second part, because we talked about the harlot riding the scarlet beast of 7 heads, right? The 7 hills. Now, when those 7 hills fall, when that beast is about to fall. Those that think we're now gonna, it's all happy, joy, joy, millennial reign, 1,000 years of peace. People, did you read Revelation 13, verse 11? And then I saw another beast rise out of the earth. Okay, that is.
You think it's William?
Well, no, William will be a part of it. It's 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. His name's interesting. He'll be a part of it, okay? But he'll be a part of the beast system. He's going to be tied in because remember, they're going to rise again under a different name, a different flag colors, same agenda. And that will be the 10 kings we talked about earlier in Revelation.
I've heard a lot
kings.
about William. I don't know. I mean,
well, no, but then you got to tie in O with that. President O, he's tied in with that, okay? Because he's saved for later too. So he's going to be a part of that beast system. Because he's saved for later. The last thing he signed when he was president was he turned over the internet, the rights to it, to the United Nations. And we know that the Antichrist comes out of Europe, and he's supposed to be of darker skin. So the point. So what I'm trying to illustrate, people, is we are in end times. We have, and so that's the bad news. But back to the good news, we have several years of the most mind-boggling blessings coming your way. So fear not. God's always, like, as ugly as things look right now, you're about to see God's got this, and it's going to be incredible how this plays out, and you're going to be celebrating worldwide celebrations.
I see that. I've had visions of that.
So David, are you a prophet?
No.
No, you're saying, because you saw that, right? God shows you things, like he shows me things, right? That doesn't mean you're a prophet, but you're connected to God. That's what a messenger is, okay? You get pieces. God shows you, I get glimpses of things, okay? You had a glimpse, you had a piece of something, and when you saw it, it was the truth, right?
It resonated as truth, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So God's using you, and that's how you know. That's how because he'll show you pictures of things to come. Just like he showed me that picture of the Dow cycle, the 421-124 stock cycle, and it's nailed the stock market for 3.5 years already, people. Okay. The point is, he shows us pieces, and that's how you know he's using you. Okay. So a long time ago, as is God really using me? Yes, he is, because that's a perfect example of you see the worldwide celebrations coming. They're supposed to be here, I believe, and they could be here at the end of next month. They could be here or by December. It's going to be historic. So these immense blessings are about to hit. We're going to be worldwide celebrations. The world's going to celebrate, because what happened was evil was thwarted. I said it in our last presentation, starting the 24th of September, evil is stopped, okay? The shofars blew. Gideon's army is assembled. This is so important. Gideon's army is assembled. When you study my time cycles, this is some cool stuff. The last time this cycle happened was when oil went to 0. So 45 got elected. 1,260 days later, I'm not making this up. This is biblical stuff. Daniel's timeline, 1,260 days. It takes you to precisely April 20th of the year 2020. Okay, so this is not a coincidence. Exactly what happened. So in the year 2020, oil goes to 0. Now, 30 days later, incredibly, you won't believe it. What happened was, we talked about this earlier, but the 𝗵𝗏𝗏 Dam broke. So I'll show you the slide here. So we've got right here, the door closes to the ark. So that oil goes to 0. So I got the thing that I got. God said, mark that event as from oil going to 0 on April 20th of the year 2020 as a marker in time of oil going to 0. and that would mark the closing of the door to Noah's Ark.
Mm.
We're not doing Noah's Ark. We're doing this timeline of Noah's Ark.
Got you.
Okay, the time window. 30 days later, on May 21, the Edenville Dam breaks in the township of Hope, Michigan. The water breaking represents pre-birth. 40 days later, well, what Noah? It rained for what? 40 days and 40 nights, right? That would be May 31. On May 31, oh, what a coincidence, the George Floyd riots break out. Come on, how does this happen, people? But it happened. That was the birth of the latter rain, the church. That was the birth of the latter rain and the opening of the second seal of Revelation, which is peace taken from the earth. And from that point on, you got Matthew 24, wars and rumors of wars. And that's what you're seeing manifest, because there was rioting all over the world after that event. And now we're seeing the Russia thing, right? We're seeing these events triggering because of the second seal being opened. And now we're about to witness the third seal. So let's take to the present day. September 24, 25 right here. That was a mark in the same thing, the door closing to the ark. 30 days later is, actually, that was the British pound plummeted. 30 days later is October 24th, 1024. The stock Dow, the 1929 cycle I showed you, indicates there's a huge probability for a worldwide or US stock market collapse beginning on or about that date, that time point, the 30-day window. And then 40 days and 40 nights takes us to November 3rd, which is just a few days after that is the...
Yep.
Right?
And
then you read, and then you further read, and it talks about 𝗪𝗏 17, and that's 11:11, and that takes us to, and that could be the starting point. Again, just like October 24th is the starting point for the collapse. I believe 11:11 will be the starting point for the collapse of the US dollars. And we're going to see and massive bank runs and everything starting somewhere in November.
Wow.
Okay.
November is going to be a tough month.
Well, but then finishing with, remember when God intervened, it's only 24 hours, right?
Right.
Somewhere in I think the latter part of November, God intervenes big time. And then we're going to see the manifestation of the result, basically. And that's this worldwide celebrations, probably in Thanksgiving-ish or after, or into somewhere early part of December, worldwide celebrations. And that's going to tie in with this cycle that I'm showing you here. So that's why you have to look at timelines and windows, because these windows are so powerful with regards to things happening. And so right now, we're an incredibly powerful time point. We're in this 40-day window right now, and we're approaching the 30-day window on the 24th.
Can I get you on after the 24th?
Absolutely.
As we're going into November?
Yeah, and remember, there's a prophetic word that I got. Like, so another thing that I got was the prophecy of of the event that happened to Lazarus. Right? What did he do? He died, and he was put in the tomb for 4 days. Right? And then Christ knew he was dead. He took his time to get there. Why? But when Lazarus was in the tomb, this is the point, people. It was. What was the world like? What was the family of Lazarus? Mourning. It was dark for them, right? So we're going to see this kind of an event happen where something bad happens. So we may not be able to do an interview the last week of October. I don't know, but let's plan on it, right? And maybe we'll do maybe whatever. Let's plan on something there, or first week of November, because something big's about to go down. And then Christ showed up 4 days later, and if only you were here earlier, Jesus, forgot the exact word, right? Yeah. Then my brother would not have died, in the words of Martha, right? And then Jesus is like, well, don't you know I am the resurrection and the life, right? and she goes, I know, but yeah, well, one day we're all going to rise. Go, no, don't you know I'm the resurrection and the life, right? And he goes, Lazarus, rise, and he rose on the 4th day. And so why did he do that? So the world might see his glory. That's the point. We talked about, Psalms, right? The mountains melt like wax, right? In a single day, the world's going to see his glory. And understand, when the mountains melt like wax, expect volcanoes, people. Expect earthquakes, okay? Because when the Red Sea parted, I promise you, there was earthquakes everywhere. When Christ died on the cross, earthquakes shook all over Egypt. I mean Israel. Sorry, all over Israel. You know, the veil tore. Okay, earth. So when God intervenes, when the glory manifests, it's shaking. You know, and so in the prophetic word, actually, the earth will rumble. I write this down. Nino, write this down. The earth, and then viewers, write this down. This is the word of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and it's a beautiful, it's a rhyme, right? The earth will rumble and evil will crumble. And that will give you a representation of how this is about to go down. So when the earthquakes hit, when the world is shaking, that's God.
All right.
Taking down evil.
Bo, I'm gonna let you go now. This was very big. This was huge. I hope my audience enjoys this. I hope they took notes. I hope they start preparing. I'm gonna put World Economic Collapse starts October 24th ? Leave it up to my audience to decide. You got to come back after the 24th.
I promise.
We can do this.
I promise. Yeah, whatever it is. Like,
if it's gonna be that crazy, then you won't need to, obviously. But
well, but still, it'll still be fun to go on, and we're not going to do again, people. This is going to be bad. This is no when Nino and I come back. There's no "I told you so." Okay, we're not. This is like we're going to talk further about what we need to do, how we can all come together as one, because that's what we need to come together as one. We need to help thy sister and brother. Okay, that's what it's all about. Helping one another. That's what the world is all about.
You are 100% sure this is going to happen after October 24th.
The charge and everything we're pointing to it. So it all triggers around the 24th. We're already here. If you want to drag it 10 days into the first week of November, so be it. The window begins. The window begins from the 24th into the election, into the November 7th window right there. So something huge is about to blow.
Oh, I agree. There's going to be some kind of, I've already stated that on my show many times, some kind of event. I think, that's a no-brainer. Bo, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon. Bad news, good news, whatever it is.
God's got this. No, because the black horse is the death for them. So again, what is Thanksgiving? Let's finish on this note. Thanksgiving is what you have sown, thus shall you reap. What that means, it's the seeds, right? So when you plant a seed, it's either you plant a wheat or you plant tares, weeds. So what did you plant this year? The last two, what have you been planting? Because what you planted, you're about to reap on your own head. And if you planted evil, you're about to reap evil. And that's the black horse, the third seal. If you've planted good seed, you've been telling people to prepare. You're out there warning people, talking like Nino's been doing, right? He's planting good seeds. And thus you shall reap immense blessings.
Thank you, Bo. All right, Bo, thank you so much. All right, audience, I hope you enjoyed this. Bo, I'll put this up tomorrow.
God bless.
All right, bye.